grid. We are almost ready to go. The red lights go on and they go out now, and the race gets underway. And it is Lloyd Huggins that makes the best of the start from the outside of the front row of the grid, and he is going to have the lead into the first corner. Then it's Shea Pearce, who didn't get away quite so well. Coming through from the second row is Matthew Pettifather-Neal, but it's Ian Tomlinson around the outside of everyone from the outside of row 2 that goes into the lead of the race. Lots of experience there for Ian Tomlinson, and he has used that to great advantage to get up into the lead of the race ahead of Lloyd Huggins. And what has Josh Barrett spotted in the middle of the pack?
Yeah, Jordan Johnson is there. So Jordan Johnson and Tom Holland from the back of the grid, two drivers to look out for. So the champion Jordan Johnson missing this morning, but back out there this time with this partially reversed grid. The top 7 from the wet race this morning reversed. So Andy Bailey, this morning's winner, starting in 7th spot, looking to move forward. So this is this jumbled order. That Pettifather-Neal up into second on the inside of Huggins, but then Ben Hansey, who's looking for second in the championship here, is trying to move up the inside of all of them into Coppice Corner. There's one off in the background, I think, which is 49, I think. No, it can't be, because it's not a 49, is there? Oh, there is. Anthony Russell, 49. That's the car off, I think, at McLean's. But here they come with Tomlinson leading. Ian Tomlinson, who's had a few podiums this season, but only a best of third, is leading with Lloyd Huggins second. Ben Hansey's third. Pettifather-Neal is fourth. Bailey is fifth. And there's that car in the gravel.
Yeah, and the marshal's rushing to assist because clearly it's stranded. So Andy Bailey, number 95, chasing after 21, Matt Pettifather-Neal there. Oh, and the bit of rubbing there between Lloyd Huggins and Ben Hansey as they went into the Melbourne hairpin that time. So Hansey has gone through to second place. He started this race in 5th position with this partially reversed grid, of course. And he's up to P2 now. And that's Shea Pearce, is it? That's doing some outbraking there, going into the Goddard hairpin, making up position, I think. But it's Ian Tomlinson from Ben Hansey at the end of lap 1. The 49 car has been released from the gravel trap at McLean's. It's good to see. So we're going to be able to continue racing under green flag conditions. Third at the moment is Lloyd Huggins. And 4th is Andy Bailey. 5th is Shea Pearce. 6th is Matthew Pettifather-Neal, who was second briefly. Richardson 7th. And 8th is Michael Pearce in the green car.
From the back of the grid, Jordan Johnson's 13th. So he's overtook half of the cars on that opening lap, which is pretty impressive. So we'll look out for car number 92 working its way through the order. Meanwhile, Matthew Pettifather-Neal there just behind Oak Richardson. And then you've got Michael Pearce in 70. Scott Leach, yesterday's winner, 13. Up next, but not far behind this little group, is Jordan Johnson making progress as Ben Hansey goes to the lead round the outside at Schwartz Curve, and that gives him the inside line for McLean. So Ben Hansey, who hasn't won for a few months in this championship, keen to do that in the last round of the championship, and we know he's going to take a further role in the championship next year to help promote it and think to be the main coordinator next season. And Ben Hansey would, I'm sure, really like to go into that with a race victory, as he may not be able to do as much racing next year.
Yeah, Adrian Johnson's going to be assisting Ben with the coordination of the championship for next season, taking over from Alan Robson. There in the background you can see Jordan Johnson in the thick of the action. Locking up there is Michael Pearce, just ahead of Shea Pearce now. Scott Leach is someone that's also trying to come through the field. Where did Scott start this race? He started in 9th position, was the winner yesterday. As Andy Bailey now coming down the inside of Lloyd Huggins to get 3rd place away. You've got Ben Hansey into the lead of the race ahead of Ian Tomlinson, who might be shuffled back to 3rd place here if Andy Bailey has his way. No, he can't quite make that work coming out of Melbourne. Will he try and outbrake Tomlinson up into the Goddard hairpin? The full wide further back with Scott Leach actually losing ground there. It's even Jordan Johnson gaining it. And Adrian Johnson, very late on the brakes. I thought he was going to collide with his son there into Goddard, but just about managed to get the car stopped in time. So, end of lap 2. It's Ben Hansey leading. Ian Tomlinson second. 3rd is Andy Bailey. 4th is Lloyd Huggins. 5th is Oak Richardson.
Yeah, and then Matthew Pettifather-Neal's the only driver lonely in 6th, and then Michael Pearce leads this big group with Jordan Johnson just behind, who's made that excellent first couple of laps to this race. But for 2nd place, Ian Tomlinson now under threat from Andy Bailey in that car that's been set up by Brian Chandler this weekend. Then Lloyd Huggins in 4th position and Oak Richardson in 5th as they turn their way out of the old hairpin. They climb the hill, but is all this allowing Ben Hansey to get away? I think it might be. He's keen to break the toe before Andy Bailey grabs second position, which I think is happening about now, Ian.
It looks like it, doesn't it? Up at McLean's corner. Has he got that done yet? No, he's not. Ian Tomlinson wide over the curbs on the exit of the corner, but Bailey's still going to have the inside line for the next corner at Coppice, and he makes it through there. So Bailey goes second, and it might be Huggins that gets through to third position, possibly Richardson to fourth, as well as hung out to dry a little bit there is Ian Tomlinson. And yep, he is back down to P5 now, the man from Blackpool. And now Richardson challenging for fourth place as well. Richardson's been a race winner this season, one of I think 7 winners we've had this season in the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup. So a pretty competitive season it has been, with lots of different drivers tasting victory as the season has gone on. And Ben Hansey, looking to go out on a high here, is pulling away from the rest of the field, isn't he?
Tomlinson squeezes up the inside of Lloyd. Huggins gets a bit sideways. Huggins' best result this year has been a 5th, but he is battling for second place here, isn't he? So Lloyd Huggins looking for a first podium in the category. And that's because Andy Bailey's dropped back. He had just got second, had he not?
He had, yeah.
He's dropped into the second pack. So obviously a mistake. They're out of view. Meanwhile, it's getting close there between one of the Pierces, I think, who was involved in that, and possibly Matthew Pennyfather Neil. So the orders behind Ben Hansey's all rather jumbled up on that lap. So it's Hansey that still leads. Oak Richardson is second now. Lloyd Huggins is third, looking for his first podium. Ian Tomlinson is fourth. And a gap back to Andy Bailey, who's fifth. Jordan Johnson is sixth and the fastest driver on the circuit. Michael Pearce seventh. Then Matthew Pennyfather Neil, Shea Pearce and Scott Leach complete the top 10.
Yeah, 8.5 minutes of this 50-minute race still remaining then. We are watching that fight between the two red cars, Lloyd Huggins and Ian Tomlinson. Andy Bailey just ahead of the similar coloured car of Jordan Johnson, then up to 6th from the back of the grid. There's Thomas Holland, the other driver, coming through from the back after his off in the this morning's race at the Old Hairpin. He has got back up to 15th place now at the end of lap 3. The best lap of the race so far has been done by Jordan Johnson, a 1:58.42, which is 9 seconds faster than Andy Bailey managed in this morning's race, which was distinctly damp. And Bailey there just keeping ahead of Johnson for the moment. That's Michael Pearce, number 70. He's in 7th place. Scott Leach has got himself ahead of Matthew Pennyfather Neil on this lap, and also Shea Pearce as well, so he's made up 2 places this lap, Scott Leach. He is up into 8th spot and challenging Michael Pearce for 7th down into the Fogarty S's, but he can't quite make it through there. Scott, remember, was the winner of yesterday's race, although he was only in 5th position as they started their final lap yesterday. All really unfolded in the final couple of corners yesterday.
Bailey and Johnson have caught Oak Richardson and Lloyd Huggins, so this might start to become difficult for Lloyd Huggins to get his first podium. The driver from Hemel Hempstead currently sitting there in 3rd position behind Michael Pearson. Scott Leach still battling away for 7th position. Michael Pearson his first weekend with 5 Club, I think. But there's Hansey and Richardson. They've gone away. Then Ian Tomlinson now, has he got back into 3rd position there ahead of Lloyd Huggins? I think he may have done. Then the battle behind. Well, it stretches well down the order, this battle. Oh, there's been an incident, I'm afraid. There, 214 involved is sometime Aston Martin driver John Goldsmith. And
23 is Martina Ward, the other driver involved in that, as well as side by side with Bailey and Jordan Johnson going down through the Craner curve. They're just ahead of Ian Tomlinson here now. So he's losing out a little bit. Lloyd Huggins it is that's up ahead. So Johnson now ahead of Bailey as well. They both run a little bit wide through the Old Hairpin. And with 6 minutes to go, you can see the lead there that Ben Hansey has, and equally Richardson in 2nd place has a big advantage in for that position. But Lloyd Huggins is losing 3rd there at McLean's because Jordan Johnson from the back of the grid has gone through. A great drive this Jordan Johnson. He wrapped up the championship yesterday, celebrated, sat out this morning's race, and has been in good form here in the final race of the season.
Andy Bailey there may have run into Lloyd Huggins. We've got double wave yellow flags with those 2 cars off, but I think it's good to see both drivers are out of their cars, aren't they? So for Martina and for John, I think both are Ben's short run cars, so Ben's got a couple of cars to fix over the winter. Unfortunately there, I think they might be fairly heftily damaged, I'm afraid.
You know, I can only imagine that some contact must have been made between them on the run down the straight. Looking at the tyre marks on the road there.
Yeah, they were separated by just 8 tenths of a second going on to the previous lap. A huge dive up the inside now from Tom Holland. He's only 12th. He hasn't made anywhere near the progress of Jordan Johnson.
Yeah, he's got past Samuel Gormer there in the 128 car, hasn't he? So up to P12. And there is Shay Pearce with Adrian Johnson in the 22 car on the outside. I think Shay Pearce, is he going to run wide on the exit of the corner and allow Adrian Johnson back through? No, not quite. So front of shot is Jordan Johnson. He's in third place now. Yeah, third position now. That's right, isn't it? And then Andy Bailey, Ian Tomlinson, Lloyd Huggins, Scott Leach, and then the rest. And there is Adrian Johnson, and he does get the better of Shay Pearce in the end, with Tom Holland just behind. And Tom, I would think now, should stand a good chance of getting up into the top 10 before the end of this race.
Adrian Johnson seemingly having his best race of the weekend. He has had a best result of 6th over the course of the season. Then you've got Shay Pearce. Yeah, now Tom Holland starting to make some good progress. Tom, who had his best result of the season yesterday, a 2nd for the 20-year-old. But what's happening there? Jordan Johnson coming back under pressure now from Andy Bailey. So Andy Bailey ruined that mistake he made a little bit earlier on. He is now pressurising Jordan Johnson, who's only overtaken people up to this point in this race, but now he is starting to come under pressure from Andy Bailey with a couple of laps to go at the end of this one. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be able to catch Oak Richardson, who's a couple or 3 seconds up the road.
No, there was 2.8 seconds between Richardson and Johnson at the start of the lap. There we can see Ian Tomlinson heading the next little gaggle through, also including Ian Tomlinson. Tomlinson ahead of Lloyd Huggins, I should say, and Scott Leach, who is looking to make a move down into Melbourne. Can he outbrake both of them there? I think he might have been able to do that. He's now the middle of the 3 cars that are side by side, accelerating their way up the hill. Who's going to get into Goddard's first? I think it's Tomlinson with his nose in front. Who breaks latest? Well, they all sort of filter into line. So Tomlinson, Leach, who makes it 1 place out of all of that. So I think he gets up to 6th, I think that is. And then behind you've got Pearce, Pennefather, Neal, and looks like Thomas Holland. Has he now made it into the top 10 ahead of Shay Pearce? I think he might have done.
Yeah, and the Pearce, I think, has dropped a few positions in all that, as Ian Tomlinson comes back under pressure from Scott Leach around the outside. So we've had a good indication here how good the racing in MX5s is around this Donington Park circuit. OK, Hansey and Richardson have got away, but the rest of the field are well involved in battles. And Scott Leach struggling to get past. I think he is now into 6th spot. Scott Leach, who had that win yesterday, he's had 3 further podiums and he's finished in the top 9 in all the races he's competed in. Looks like he should be able to do that again. Just up the road, Jordan Johnson and Andy Bailey are still absolutely tied together for 3rd and 4th positions. They were a fraction quicker than Oak Richardson on the previous lap, but not enough, I don't think, to catch. So through Coppice Corner go 92, Jordan Johnson, the champion of the season. He has had 4 wins, he's had 7 seconds, a couple of 3rds, a 4th, and a couple of 6s, which both came in races, I think, where he had an incident. And it looks like he might be able to add a 14th podium of the season to his tally in this race.
Yeah, just 1 more lap to go then at the end of this one. As Johnson is still under a bit of pressure though from Andy Bailey. He can't really afford to make a mistake. Scott Leach has now moved his way up to 5th position ahead of Ian Tomlinson, who turns his way through the Melbourne hairpin. He's got Lloyd Huggins behind him, who made a good start to the race. Talking of good starts, well, Ben Hansey, he also had a good opening to this race. He's got into the lead. There's the 49 car. That was the car that was off on the opening lap at McLean's. And then the next car through is going to be the number 40 of Ben Hansey, who has this lead of 3.3 seconds as we go on to the final lap.
He was a bit wide at the final corner, which I think cost him a little bit of time, but not to a concerning amount. Andy Bailey set the fastest lap now, 1 minute 57.35. And he's still right on terms with Jordan Johnson. So the battle for 3rd position continues to be contested. I think as a result, if it stays like it is starting the final lap, Ben Hansey should finish 2nd in the championship and Oak Richardson 3rd. which kind of makes sense for how many podiums they've had, because Jordan Johnson's on his way to his 14th podium, Ben Hansey's on his way to his 11th, and Oak Richardson's on his way to his 8th podium. They have been the 3 dominant drivers in the championship this season for drivers who have competed in the best part of the full year. But can Jordan Johnson hang on to his 3rd spot, because he is under increasing pressure from Andy Bailey, and it's sort of a different zone to what we had yesterday, where we had a big gaggle of cars battling for the lead, similar to what's going on behind. But for Johnson and Bailey, it's just the 2 of them they've got to be worried about to find out who's going to finish 3rd for the last time this year.
Ian Tomlinson losing a position to Michael Pearce there at the hairpin. Lloyd Huggins has also gone through on this lap, so Tomlinson losing a couple of places. There's Jordan Johnson then, our champion for this season, going out in reasonable style, it would seem, with a podium finish. He's got a few car lengths between himself and Andy Bailey now, but a very good year it has been for Jordan Johnson. He's developed over the past few seasons. There's Oak Richardson, number 17, putting a lap on the back marker, number 49, which is the car that had the spin in the very early stages of the race, Anthony Russell. But Ben Hansey arrives at Goddard for the final time, round 19 of the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup, and the 3rd race of the weekend gets our 3rd different winner. Ben Hansey takes the checkered flag then. He is victorious. Oak Richardson is 2nd. Jordan Johnson, the champion, is in 3rd place. Andy Bailey 4th. Scott Leach across the line now in 5th. 6th is Lloyd Huggins. 7th is Ian Tomlinson, who got that place back from Michael Pearce in the final few corners. So 8th is Pearce. 9th is Matthew Pennefather-Neal, and Tom Holland from the back of the grid up to 10th place, Josh.
Yeah, so great drive there from Jordan Johnson, and we'll be able to hear from him for the first time this weekend, because we haven't heard with Andy from our champion, Jordan Johnson. So he, I'm sure, will be pleased with how his weekend has gone, how his season has gone this year with 5 Club Racing. The rest of the field just coming through. Scott Lawrence, he just took 19th, I think, in his first weekend with 5 Club. Mary Barnard there across the line to take the checkered flag. The driver from Middlesbrough completes the top 20. A couple more, or 3 finishers to come, including Neil Burrows there, I think, who's one of the few drivers that's competed in every single race and finished every single race of the 5 Club Racing season. A season that was won by Jordan Johnson, but Ben Hansey taking the final victory, his 4th of the season.
So let's have a look at the results then. Ben Hansey, 8 laps completed within the 15 minutes. Car number 40, the winner then, by 3.25 seconds over number 17, Oak Richardson. 3rd went to number 92, Jordan Johnson, who was confirmed as champion yesterday. 4th was 95, Andy Bailey, the winner from this morning's race. In 5th place, number 13, Scott Leach. 6th to number 14, Lloyd Huggins. 7th was number 9, Ian Tomlinson. 8th, number 70, Michael Pearce. 9th was 21, Matthew Pennefather-Neal, and rounding out the top 10 was Tom Holland, ahead of Adrian Johnson, Shay Pearce, Samuel Gorman and David Brown. Further back, we had Matthew Short 15th, ahead of Martin Vernon, Nico Favreau, James McCutcheon, Scott Lawrence and Mary Barnard rounded out the top 20. Jack Lawrence, Andrew Robinson and Neil Burrows were our other finishers. Sadly, John Goldsmith and Martina Ward had that incident mid-race and didn't make it to the checkered flag, but that brings the curtain down on the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup season and the era of it being coordinated by its creator, Alan Robson. We saw that presentation to him earlier on this morning to mark and celebrate his retirement after all of the considerable good he has done for Mazda MX5 racing in the UK. He's the man behind the regulations 20 years ago, and so if it wasn't for him, hundreds of Mazda MX5 racing cars wouldn't have been prepared. So we're all indebted to him for that.
Yeah, possibly. How high that number might be, because like in single seasons there's been hundreds, haven't there? Yeah. So it's been a massively popular category. So I think in a moment's time we'll hear from Andy McKeown with our champion Jordan Johnson, 2nd place Oak Richardson, and the race winner for the final time this year, Ben Hansey.
Yeah, thank you very much, Josh. Indeed, we've got our top 3 finishers just lining up behind me now. And yeah, great opportunity in a moment anyway to catch up with our champion. But first of all, he's actually getting the congratulations of the man who really ran him hard for the title as the season went on, Ben Hansey, who ends his year with a race win and we believe 2nd place in the championship, which is not a bad way to round things out. Ben, if we could just grab you for a quick chat, that's more like it, isn't it? Back on the top step of the podium, you've sealed, we think, 2nd place in the points as well. Not a bad end to the year.
Yeah, could have done with doing that 3 times this weekend. That's a Ben Short type victory, that is, isn't it? Run and hide. The reverse grid's always a bit interesting, and it shows who's got the racecraft and getting through the traffic. Once I got the gap, Oak didn't have any tow, and he had no one to work with, so it was just quality laps. But as we come around on that slowing down lap, I got more emotional for Jordan's win than I did over my own 2. So proud of him.
We'll let you compose yourself, take your winner's garland, but that is a fantastic thing to hear, actually. You mentioned yesterday the sense of family, it's a real community within 5 Club. That really exemplifies that, doesn't it? You really do genuinely care about each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I said something to you at the start of the year about the student becoming the the teacher. I've taught him everything. he's had some angry little eyes. We had a little incident at the start of the year, and we got out of the car, shook hands, had a beer. That's how we race at 5 Club.
That's how it should be. Congratulations, Ben. A worthy race winner, second in the championship. Oak Richardson second in that race, though. And Oak, another podium. Solid weekend for you. I'm sure you'd have liked to have ended it with a win, but you've got to be satisfied.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Just totted around in the end of that one. First few laps were a bit chaotic, but after that, yeah, it was just go round and round and round. Wasn't going to catch Ben, no one was going to catch me, so we just went round.
It's always the case, isn't it, with those reverse grid races? The early progress you make can really define your race. If you can break out of the pack before the other quick guys, then that gives you an edge, and ultimately that's what happened with Ben.
Yeah, it took me a few laps to get through, sort of towards the top 3, and by the time I was through, Ben was too far away, and I was in the middle of nowhere, and yeah. But no, it was good. It was nice to finish with top 3 in the championship on the podium for the last race. So yeah, that was good.
Fitting end to the season, absolutely. Thank you very much. Well then, for the first time this weekend, let's have a chat with our champion, shall we? Jordan Johnson, congratulations on the podium. Congratulations on the championship victory as well. That, we believe, was decided yesterday, but it's been a stressful one for you, hasn't it? That race yesterday in particular, what a roller coaster race that was.
Yeah, I was literally sat enjoying my race, you know, nothing going on too much. I'll just take the 3rd and take the championship, and then, yeah, I nearly ended up down here backwards, so it was exciting.
That's one word for it. At that point, your championship must have been flashing in front of your eyes. Obviously, Ben didn't get the look that he needed to capitalise on that, but it's those little moments, aren't they, that can be championship defining?
Yeah, didn't need it all, but got my head back into gear, and I just thought if I can get the fastest lap, that's another point I can take. I knew I wasn't going to catch the front and have any fun with them, so yeah, I was happy to get it sealed in the end last night.
And it was that championship, that fastest lap point that ultimately won it for you. Overall, though, a great season. Ben just said some very nice words about the battle that you've had. You've had some fantastic on-track battles throughout the course of the season. To come out on top against someone with Ben's experience, that must give you some real satisfaction.
Yeah, I have to thank him. He's been a great out with my career so far, but it's nice for the pupil to become the teacher at last. And long may it continue.
Well, absolutely. We're going to see more of this next year, do you think?
I don't know if Mr. Hansy's coming back next year. I hope he does, but we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations once again to our 5 Club MX5 champion, then Jordan Johnson, who finally makes it onto the podium at the end of what's been a trying weekend for him. Right then, more racing coming up shortly. I think a couple of errant MX5s to be cleared up. Once that's been done, they will be replaced by BMWs. It's the first of 2 races this afternoon for the BMW Racing Championship, and those cars should hopefully be released from the assembly area very shortly. But as I'm sure the guys upstairs will tell you now in more detail, it's been a dramatic start to the day already, with one of the championship contenders facing some early troubles. Let's get all of the news from BMW land from Ian and Josh up in the box.